For 2 long years, one man defied the greatest empire the world had ever seen. A gladiator, a slave, who became a rebel general, Spartacus. He didn't just fight Rome, he humiliated its legions, time and time again. But in 71 BC, the dream of freedom came to a brutal end. Spartacus and his army were cornered, shattered. Rome declared victory. Yet even in its triumph, whispers of a deeper, darker story began to spread. A story of betrayal. So who sold out Spartacus? And why has this mystery haunted history for over 2,000 years? By the end, the once mighty rebel army was on the brink of collapse. Tens of thousands of freed slaves had flocked to Spartacus's banner, a force that shook Rome to its core. But now, after years of constant fighting, hunger, exhaustion, and internal conflict, were tearing them apart. The dream was fracturing. Some factions argued for escape, a desperate flight from Italy. Others, filled with righteous fury, demanded one last glorious battle against their former masters. And while they argued, in the shadows of their camps, Roman spies and informants moved silently among them. Rome wasn't just fighting. Rome was listening. Rome was waiting for the perfect moment to strike. To crush this rebellion once and for all, Rome turned to its wealthiest and most ambitious citizen, Marcus Licinius Crassus. Crassus was a man defined by ruthless efficiency. He wasn't just a general, he was an engineer of destruction. He constructed miles of trenches, walls, and elaborate traps, methodically boxing Spartacus and his army into the toe of Italy, a geographic dead end. But here's where the story takes a fascinating twist. Against all odds, Spartacus and a portion of his army broke through Crassus's lines. They almost escaped. For a moment, it seemed the rebellion might live on. So how did Crassus manage to corner him again? How did the Roman legions always seem to anticipate his next move? Was it simply brilliant military strategy, or did Crassus have a secret weapon? An informant whispering Spartacus's plans directly into his ear. When you start digging into who might have betrayed him, the list of suspects is surprisingly long. Some ancient historians point their fingers at pirates. The plan was solid. Spartacus had struck a deal to have his army ferried across the strait to Sicily, a land simmering with its own slave revolts. It was the perfect escape route. But at the appointed time, the pirate ships never arrived. They simply vanished with Spartacus's payment. Did Crassus get to them first, offering a bigger bribe? Or did the pirates simply decide that betraying a rebel was safer than angering Rome? Then there are whispers from within his own ranks. Imagine the desperation. His followers were starving, trapped, and facing certain death. It's not hard to believe that some of them might have considered trading information, Spartacus's plans, his location, in exchange for a promise of mercy from the Romans. Of course, Roman mercy was a cruel joke. The reward for any captured rebels, informant or not, was the same: crucifixion. But there's a third, more chilling possibility. What if the entire story of betrayal was a masterful piece of Roman propaganda? What better way to tarnish a hero's legacy than to paint him not as a brilliant general defeated in battle, but as a naive fool, outsmarted and sold out by his own allies? A story designed to strip him of his honor, even in death. When the final battle finally came, it was a storm of fury and desperation. Ancient accounts tell us Spartacus fought like a man possessed. He wasn't just fighting for survival, he was hunting for one person: Crassus. He carved a bloody path through Roman ranks, cutting down centurions, trying to reach the man who had engineered his downfall. He wanted to face his true enemy, but it was too late. He was surrounded, his allies scattered, and his hope exhausted. Spartacus, the gladiator who shook an empire, finally fell. His body was so mangled in the chaos that it was never officially identified. As a final, brutal warning to anyone who dared dream of freedom, Crassus crucified 6,000 survivors along the Appian Way, a road of death leading back to Rome. So who truly betrayed Spartacus? Was it the pirates who took his gold and ran? Was it a desperate follower hoping for a mercy that never came? Or was it history itself, twisted by the victors to serve their own narrative? Rome wanted to erase his name, to make him a footnote of a failed uprising. But in doing so, they created something far more powerful: a legend. The name Spartacus became a symbol of defiance, whispered by rebels and revolutionaries for centuries to come. A man who fought for freedom, who fell, and who was perhaps stolen from victory by a traitor's whisper. The man is gone. The specific betrayal may be lost to time, but the legacy and the question remain. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. If you love unraveling historical mysteries like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got plenty more stories to tell. See you next time.